This island is one wrapped in stories and myths, like the mist which hangs over the sea, protecting it from the hostile eyes of enemies. This story is one of love, mistrust, betrayal and heartbreak. The man at its heart is William, a man whose life has been defined by what his hands could produce. His farm, passed down from his parents, occupied his mind and his time, but left his heart empty. Love had passed him by, but deep down he still sought it. And then, in the dead of night, came Nancy to his door. Nancy told William that she'd move along several times, but that never came to pass. Days turned into weeks and weeks formed months. William was a man with little courage, but it grew fertile in Nancy's presence until one day, beneath the limbs of the tramman, his courage finally blossomed. A whirlwind romance led to a modest marriage, all William could afford. His heart was full at last. But then Nancy disappeared. William woke up to an empty bed. He searched and searched from the point of air down to the calf of man, but to no avail. She seemed to have floated away on the same breeze which had carried her to him. The police considered every option, but when they found that Nancy had left all her belongings, their eyes turned towards William. They questioned him endlessly, but the investigation came to naught and William was left once again with only emptiness. The farm fell into disarray and the rumours surrounding Nancy grew. Some believed she occupied a deep hole somewhere in William's acres of land. Others believed she was a fairy, tricksy and mischievous. One who speculated the most was Jane, occupier of the next farm over and widow of William's lifelong best friend James. When James passed, she took good care of the land, and she and William were the only neighbours for miles. But though she visited him regularly, his quiet way left her yearning to know him more deeply. Until, in Nancy's absence, the torch that she carried for him could shine brighter. William and Jane began to clear the debris of his old life and build a new one together. Jane felt she finally had a chance to know this man as she'd always wanted to. William was grateful for the extra pair of hands. Even though his moods remained distant and his affection restrained, Jane played with her wedding ring. Inside was inscribed Jane and James, from the man who had loved her more than the world, but was no longer here to show it. One morning, once William had at last conceded to Jane's persistence, he thought he heard a voice calling. William's heart pounded, fit to burst at the sight of a letter from Nancy. She was alive! The letter said she had felt trapped on the farm and chose to leave, but she missed him too much. When she tried to return, she saw her bed filled by another woman. It broke her heart. But William could still prove his love. He must find Nancy's wedding ring, which she had hidden in a special place. She would knock at midnight. If he didn't have it, he'd never see her again. But if he did, she'd be his once more. When Jane headed out, he turned the house upside down. He rooted in every crevice, searched everywhere Nancy had ever been. But he couldn't find the ring anywhere. William's agitation didn't go unnoticed. Jane still couldn't help but wonder about Nancy's true fate. Could it have been William? Was Nancy buried on the farm somewhere? Or was she a fairy set on ruining his life? Mourning at the prospect of losing his beloved a second time, William walked out to the tramman. In his state, he almost didn't spot what he was looking for. As the day waned on, Jane could sense something was wrong. A particular disquiet ran through her when she found a letter awaiting her. The night drew in, and both thought only of Nancy's arrival. was all Jane could do not to beg him. But William was too preoccupied with the approaching stroke of midnight. Suddenly, it all made sense. The note that had led Jane to Nancy's letter had been written by the very same hand. Nancy had orchestrated everything. Perhaps Nancy was a fairy set on ruining their lives. She'd certainly achieved it.